So on the bench today is my Multivox MX-440 string and brass synth. These came out in '77, originally called the MX-202, and I'm sure that's what's under this label right here. And in fact, it still says MX-202 on the back here twice. These were modeled after the Roland RS-202, almost part for part. This goes from C to C, and the Roland's a little bit lower. It goes from F to F. But almost the same thing. Now, when I got this, I inherited it from a good friend, and it had sat for a long time and was a little bit dirty and had some issues. The big issue was that when I would play a note, any note, I would get a high B that would turn on. I had a kind of a hard time finding a lot of information about these, so I did a bunch of research and figured out how they worked, and which led me on being able to fix that problem. So I wanted to put a video together about these, just to show you, how it works, and hopefully you can kind of sort any problems out that come up if you're trying to work on one of these or fix one of these. So they're a pretty straightforward thing, and they're very kind of organ-like. They're not a synth in the way of like a monophonic synth where you have an oscillator and you'd kind of tune that oscillator, or a polyphonic synth in the way that you have an oscillator per every note that you can play. This one works more like an organ, and it's kind of more like an organ-like sound. So you have just controls, real quick tuning, raise or lower the tuning. There's an internal pot that you can tune, so you can have this at noon and set to 440, and then adjust from there. Volume, your tone sliders there's two different sounds. There's a brass sound and a string sound. We can hear what those sound like individually. It's your brass, your strings, and strings 2 is just an octave of strings 1. You can have them in any kind of configuration. And these other controls, like volume soft and slow attack, allow you to kind of ease in there, and volume soft drops the volume, which is important because the keyboard's split in two. So you have a treble portion up here and a bass portion. Your bottom 2 octaves are controlled by these, and the copied slider, not sliders, but switches here, work for these top 3 octaves. So you could have a soft attack here, or soft volume and louder up here. Now you also have sustain for each one, how long the notes hang out for, vibrato, and you can adjust how long it takes for that vibrato to come in, and how intense it is. And the coolest part, or one of the coolest parts about this, is Roland came out with the 202 in '76, which is about the time that their chorus circuit came out. So their JC120 jazz chorus amp was '75, and the Boss CE1 chorus pedal was '76, and this has that chorus effect. So without it, that's chorus 2, and it's probably a very similar circuit to what's in those other Roland products. It uses those same MM3002 chips. So that's the string machine on the outside. Now, if we look inside, we can kind of check out how this works. So you have a tone that's generated, and this pot right here is your internal tuning pot, so you can set that to noon and make sure this is in tune. And I believe that you just have one pitch that comes out and goes to this main chip, and this main chip is divides that one high pitch and gives you all 12 tones. And then from there, each high tone goes to its own octave divider chip, and you can see how that's F and E, and that would be like an E flat, etc. So that octave divider chip divides the note into the 4 other octaves. So I imagine like the one would just go right through with a high pitch, and then you end up with, that's how you get all 5 of your E's that way. And that's how they can all, you can get full polyphony of the board that way. So these tones are generated, and it's my understanding that they're always on. So then each tone has its own strip here. And you can see here for your top octave you have white, and for this octave you have blue wires and yellow. If you follow those around, you can see how this will be your top B here, that white. This will be your next highest B, that blue wire right there, and that's the strip that corresponds to that note. So what you have are these transistors, these NPN transistors, C1740, and when they get voltage, they open the gate and allow that note to come through and come out. So my first thing that I did was, once I figured out how all that worked, is I pulled that one transistor under that high B. And you can see, because I still need to trim the ends, how I put a new one in there. But when I pulled that transistor, that stopped that high note, which was great, because then at least it was playable and usable. And the high register is kind of a little bit harsh anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal to lose that note. But I did still want to try to fix it, and those transistors are pretty cheap, so I bought a couple of them, put a new transistor in, and that note works. It doesn't just play through with other notes anymore, and I got a fully functioning string machine now. So this is where your tones are generated here, or where your gates get through. This is that chorus board, so there's your MN-3002 chips. Oh, there's your power supply. Your keys there. And it's kind of nice, these keys come off in octaves, unlike the other synth I'm about to work on, which they come off individually. So for cleaning and everything, that was really nice. Not undoing a bunch of keys individually. And then everything else here is probably more self-explanatory, like your tuning pot, your switches, and everything else. If those are dirty, which they were for me, a little bit of deoxit helps. If you want to clean up these boards, like alcohol on a toothbrush or some kind of small brush, soft bristles, you can kind of clean the boards up a bit. The case, I used some super clean that was diluted down and some brushes. That really helped get rid of some of the smell. But that's it. That is a string machine. And it's great. And these things came in their own little road case. It has the original music stamp. Whoop, still in here with it. And if you have any ideas for stuff to play on one of these, I'd love it. Because right now, I can play All My Love by Led Zeppelin. And it's been really fun to do kind of organy things like Bach chorales. So comment below if there's any music you like to play on these. And like and subscribe, because I'm going to do more videos like this, kind of explaining things and doing some cleaning up and fixing. I think next up is going to be this old Unifuzz that needs to be cleaned up and dealt with. Alright, thanks for watching.